Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to eHeroes. Hey, if you're one of the 99% of small businesses who are spending money on marketing but unhappy with the results and your ROI, I'm bringing back Parthiv Shah to teach you guys how to get crystal clear on your database marketing. So, welcome, Parthiv, and thanks for coming back. I mean, it's been a year since you've
Thank
been on one of these episodes. I think the last episode was 49 and this is episode 103. So I'm just glad you're back.
thank you. I'm glad I'm here, man. You are probably the best interviewer on earth. You extract good information from your experts, and you deliver great value. I think your podcast is doing a lot of good for a lot of people. So I'm honored to be here, man.
Well, thank you. And so you got some new interesting stuff that I think that every entrepreneur needs to know about. And I think some people are going to say, well, it sounds gimmicky, but really it's not if you think about what all the steps are and what you have to do. And I'm glad you're here to explain it to everyone because there's everybody right now. Well, a lot of entrepreneurs right now are being affected by this pandemic, and they're just kind of unsure of what they want to do and how they want to run their business and their marketing, and some of them are just eliminating marketing altogether. And to me, that's the terrible thing to do. You just can't just stop your marketing.
Yep. You see, Rob, you're jacked up. Okay. This pandemic, if you look at the economic impact of the pandemic, it has basically done this to you.
Hmm.
Um, Half or more of your customers are gone, right? So your revenue is cut in half or more. You know how much I lost in 2.5 days? 86% of my revenue went down. Now I built it up.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm battle hardened. So I am a battle hardened soldier of this battle.
Yeah.
I have seen the economic impact of a blunt external force to a business post 9/11, post Iraq War, all through the Afghan wars, especially what happened when post Battle of Tora Bora, when at the end of that battle there was a significant dip in economics. Uh, the most recent mortgage meltdown, we have seen the blunt impact of a catastrophic event. It lasts about 1,000 to 1,200 days. We are in between crisis. See, America never left crisis mode from Y2K to dot-com bust to 9/11 to wars. I mean, so this pandemic ain't new to America or Americans. What happened is uh, most business owners don't appreciate cash. If they have cash, they will invest and borrow and leverage to grow faster. But in reality, it is events like this that tests the strength of your business savings account.
Hmm.
As long as you're sitting on cash, you will be able to pull through. So I have a letter here that I want to share with you. And it essentially talks about this problem, right? And the problem is this: you're jacked up. A, you lost customers, therefore you don't have money, therefore you don't have marketing budget, and therefore you don't have salespeople. So the very thirst, the momentum or forward movement that carries you, you have to curtail or stop. And a business in existence is like an airplane uh, uh, in sky. Without velocity, you lose altitude.
Hmm.
And when you lose altitude at an undesirable speed, you will land at an undesirable place at an undesirable speed, and that's called crash. So altitude is necessary, and for altitude, velocity is necessary. And without velocity and altitude, direction doesn't matter.
Hmm.
An economic impact like COVID essentially would, it's like you have an engine failure. You don't have a fire in the plane, but the engine's failed. What do you do? Okay. At times like this, data scientists become more valuable. And I actually have 4 toys that I want to share with you that can explain the concept of big data and the 3 V's of database marketing: volume, variety, and velocity. It's it's a technical concept. Nobody likes to talk to me about it. But when I play with these toys, people understand what I'm saying. So I bought 4 things. I got a crystal ball, a sphere. I got a crystal pyramid.
Cool.
I got a crystal prism. And I got a crystal cube. So I can explain simple principles of database marketing using these 4 props in about 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Um, any questions you want to ask me, or should I just dive into one
Well,
toy at a
before we
time?
dive in, I was down at the beach, down at
Mhm.
Rehoboth Beach, where I typically go for vacation. And you had mentioned that your sales had dropped 80 some percent. Well, almost every store at the beach, all their sales had dropped about 80%. And
Yep.
it seemed that you know they didn't know how to handle the crisis.
Yep.
And one of the things I like to do is I always think of myself as always being in crisis mode. I always make sure that the marketing's out there, and that marketing has to be in effect for at least 2 years.
Mhm.
And because if something ever happens to me, if something happens to one of my staff members, that marketing is going to continue regardless of I'm physically in the building or working or incapacitated.
Mhm.
And so I believe every business needs to operate as if they were in a crisis. But that's me. But you're going to explain things probably a little different. And
Yeah.
I want the audience to pay attention because these 4 objects that Parthiv has, each one has a different meaning. And each one is going to take you a little further in how you're going to deal with your database marketing.
Mhm. See, the theory that you are mentioning, that you have to be proactive and have to have marketing in place that will continue on, it's called coasting or cruising, right?
Mhm,
So when engine fails, you will be able to glide long enough to either regain the power
mhm.
or safely land. That ain't the problem. The problem is the blunt force of turbulence. You need maneuverability,
Right.
right? I mean, right now, by the way, uh, the loss was in March. I already recovered from it. We're going to maybe close the business 20-30% below 2019 revenues
Mhm.
with profitability probably at par with what we did last year.
Right.
So, unlike a lot of businesses, I think we are doing well. And I can
Mhm.
say that for a lot of my clients also. Because what we did is we shifted the focus of energy, right? So that's what I want to talk to you about. So let's talk about the crystal ball, the sphere. What is data to a business? What is fish to a water? What is water to a fish? What is air to humans? We are submerged in data. How can we control something we are submerged in? How can we see something that we are in? So if you look at data, right, it's a point.
Mhm.
But that point is worthless until you know which string of data it belongs to. that string is not going to tell you enough until you know which sheet of data it came from. And that sheet of data will only tell you meaningful information when you look at it from 360 degrees, what we call spiritual view. So, they say, I don't have a crystal ball, or you look in crystal ball to forecast future. Well, the crystal ball is nothing but taking a look, looking at a point of data, looking at the strings, looking at the sheet from a spiritual view, and you're looking at the data crystal and making a swag. What does swag stands for? Sophisticated wild ass guess. See, this is why astrologers and numerologists, they're all a bunch of mathematicians who are trying to figure things out around the circumstantial evidence and predict the future. They will be more accurate than without evidence data and being able to guess accurately and adding some theatrical things. But that's basically the concept. Looking at the data point to its connect to the string it came from, to the sheet it belongs to from a spiritual view. So that's how you look at your data. This is actually your business. You see, why is it a pyramid? Pyramid is a three-dimensional triangle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the business comes in from every angle.
Right.
So there is, Kennedy talks about it. There is the base of the pyramid, the bottom 80% and top 20%. Mm-hmm. And top 20%, you can split it up into top 15% and top 5%, and bottom 15%, top 5%. The top 5% you can split into bottom 4% and top 1%. So you got your 80, 15, 5, 4, and 1. In a pandemic kind of a situation where you don't have money, your customers are leaving you, your revenues are down, and what little marketing budget that you have is becoming less and less effective because the buyers are in a not now, I'm not buying more. Because all discretionary spendings are on hold and everyone wants to hold on to their cash tight. This is the time where we call the base is compromised. Nothing you can do to augment your base because A, you don't have enough money to augment the compromised base, and B, even if you had 3x your marketing budget, the market will not respond favorably to. So what you got to do is you got to shift your energy, and you still have a little bit of energy left, to the top. Mm-hmm. Because it's the top of the pyramid. It's the top 20% of your pyramid is going to give you 80% of your revenue anyway. You want to have a good retention strategy in place. More important, you want to find your best clients and clone them. So how do you find who is at top of the pyramid? Short answer is RFM. Recency, frequency, monetary value, and there is a P, propensity to refer. So a client who gave you $10,000 in September is worth more than a client who gave you $10,000 in January. A client who gave you $2,000 a month since January is worth more than a client who gave you $10,000 in January. So holding the volume of the transactions, anyone who gives you multiple repeat transactions, they are more likely to keep buying more. Because a $10,000 transaction could be an incident. $2,000 a month for 5 months is a relationship. That's recency, frequency, monetary value. Of course, $10,000 in September is worth more than $2,000 in September. and P is propensity to refer. The guy who gives you $2,000 a month, if he can get you 3 appointments a quarter, is worth more than a guy who doesn't. So based on RFM and P, you would put your clients either in the bottom 80 and top 20. Within top 20, you will put them in bottom 15 and top 5. Within the 5, you will put them in top 1 and bottom 4. Once you know who is in the top of your pyramid, and then you look at your alumni, who did you lose in 2018 and 2019 that if they stayed would have been the top of the pyramid people?
Mhm.
Once you know who your top of the pyramid is, it is easy to focus what little marketing energy you have on that. Once you cash up, once the turbulence is behind you, you can then invest money in augmenting the base that was compromised. And you have to do that. You know why, Rob? Because without the bottom of the pyramid, you just have a tiny little pyramid with its own 80-10, with its own 80-21.
Right.
So the base matters because people do ascend. And even if they don't ascend, the fact that they're going to stay with you for multiple years, retention itself will take care of the augmentation of revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I I always was a fan of the Pareto principle, and this takes it to a whole different level.
So there is one, okay, can I move on to the next shape?
Sure.
Do you know what this is?
Prism.
Yeah. When was the last time you actually held a prism in your hand?
High school, probably 35 years ago.
Exactly. It is one of the most powerful business concept. What does prism do? A white ray goes in and you get a rainbow on the other side.
Right.
You see, not everyone on your pyramid is equal. People will respond differently to different marketing message. It's important to segment your data as to who they are, what is bothering them, why they buy what they buy, and how they benefit from consuming what they bought from you. A data prism tells you the why your top of the pyramid people are at the top. And when you know why they love you, you can look at cloning those moments in the lives of those who already are buyers, or find relationships who will love you for the reasons why you are usually loved. See, you know how they say relationships are made in heaven?
Yeah.
That can be said about business relationships too. A deal is always meant to be or not. Marketing and sales just facilitate it. And the prism will tell you where can you show up, where winning will not be insignificant and losing will not be embarrassing. So it is the prism and the prism research methodology. So this letter, you can read this letter. It's 20 pages, so it'll take you half an hour or more to read it. You can read this letter that talks about the prism research methodology. We look at identifying your top of the pyramid and what reports you can run in QuickBooks. You just look at the last 100 days, 300 days, and 1,000 days, and last 1 million, 5 million, and $10 million in transactions. And you just do some basic regression. I mean, you don't even, I shouldn't say regression, scare people. You can just eyeball the data.
Mhm.
And the information's right there.
Right.
And so I can go over the formula and how it applies to your business in what 20 minutes. Okay. The last thing I want to show you is a crystal cube. Any questions so far, Rob, on this
No,
three?
I think it's all tying together. Um,
Great.
I'm sure some of the listeners may have questions of their own, but let's proceed, and they can always contact you later.
Sure. So this is a data cube. This is what we call your pixel estate. This is your website. This is your landing page. This is your your landing pages, your funnels, your website, your blog, your pillar pages, your lead
Social media.
magnet, your marketing automation. Everything basically resides in a system.
Mm-hmm.
I use a software called HubSpot. HubSpot basically gives you a cube, a built environment. We call it pixel estate, where a prospect can come in from any angle at any time. They can stay in the cube and they can leave whenever.
Mm-hmm.
But while they are inside the cube, they can go up and down, side to side, or front and back. And we are observing their movement. We are monitoring their consumption of content. And when that person talks to the human, we know what they already know about us because we know which videos you have watched, what blog articles you have read, what web pages you have gone to, what testimonial videos you have clicked on. So when you talk to me, I'm talking to someone. It's like as if I know you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do. You went in my cube. You thought you are doing your thing. Most people don't even realize how closely they're being observed. Right? So it is these four things, Rob, these four concepts of database marketing that can help a small business with your sphere, pyramid, prism, and cube. You have all the data in the palm of your hand.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if they try to skip one of them?
Well,
Because
because
everybody wants a fast track. They want that silver bullet. They want that one option that's going to be better than another. And
so
sometimes
people
I tell people, you know what, you can't rush the process. You got to take it one step at a time.
Rob, this is rushing the process.
Well, in a
This is
theory, yeah, but you still have steps you have to take.
you still have steps you have to take. So, can I make you an offer?
Sure.
This subject is very close to my heart. I love working with small businesses. Those are the people who become my clients. Those are the people who become my friends. And when I'm not making money, I'm making friends, and I need them both. This theory, I have deployed it hundreds of times. I have worked on thousands of projects. I have worked on 10,000 or more sets of data.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at data, my experience gives me an ability to view things differently. So the biggest gift I can give to your audience is me. I'm willing to spend 20 minutes going over the framework and the formula. And so you can go to www.getgrowthmasterplan.com. Here, Can you read this? Getgrowthmasterplan.com.
Growthmasterplan.com.
Get
I'll put that
yeah.
below in the link, and it'll be visible on YouTube, but the anybody listening on audio
Okay.
podcast,
Yeah.
it's
Master.
getgrowthmasterplan.com.
You would read this letter and then book a 20-minute call with me. It'll take me about 10 minutes to go over the formula and 10 minutes to understand your situation. And then, if we feel it's appropriate, I will give you two 1-hour calls with an overnight break. First hour is all about strategy. Look at your current state, look at your goal state, look at the economic impact of recent weeks and months, look at derailment, if any, and figure out what can or should be done to essentially get you the volume and velocity that you really need.
Mm-hmm.
Next day, because I do want to take what I learned and kind of sleep over it, we book another appointment for an hour where we to go over what can you do in the next 100 days, 300 days, and 1,000 days to get the growth that you need. See, your growth plan, your growth master plan may or may not include me. If it does, I would love to have you as a client. But all I want to do is share 2 hours of my life helping you figure out what you can do with your business, where you are, with what you got, with or without me. So
And I've
that's
known you for a long time, and I can tell the audience straight out that you are a master at data. I mean, you look at data from all kinds of points of view. I mean, you do mind maps, you do this, and I'm like bewildered at everything that you're doing, because I don't think like that. I don't think on that level. You look at numbers as Bob Ross paints, these beautiful pictures. You look at numbers and it paints that picture for people, and you can see things that others can't because of that of those particular data points. And so anybody out there listening, please, go to Parthiv's URL that he shared, the Get Growth Masters Plan or masterplan.com, and take advantage of his generosity with his call, because I think you're going to see some things in your business that you never saw before.
Thank you.
Hey, show me your airplane.
Show you the airplane. Okay, yeah, where is my airplane? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to fly in that one.
So the significance of this airplane? We talk to people about done for you marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a done for you agency. I get paid when people hire me to do stuff. So I can tell them, yes, you can do it on your own. Yes, you can have a GPS. Yes, you can go through flight school. But in turbulent weather, when you're flying with something like this, not a real plane,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it helps to have a competent pilot who has done this before on your side, so you don't have to sweat.
Right.
I do what you can effectively delegate. You're a dentist, let me get you patients. You're a lawyer, let me get you clients. You are a physician, let me get you patients.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with me that 1 in 4 leads will book an appointment and 1 in 3 appointment would become a new patient? That's a reasonably acceptable, good stat on a campaign. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So that means for every new patient that you have, there are 11 unconverted leads in the parking lot that we can go get.
Mhm.
See, that is looking at the data from spiritually. Your accountant only looks at the data point, how much you got.
Mhm.
Your office looks at the string. What do we have to do so we can deliver the result? You're looking at a sheet of how can I optimize the revenues I have and control my costs so I can augment my profit. I'm looking at it. Who else could pay that's not paying? How much money you could have made that has not been made?
Right.
So think of me as an accountant for the money you have not made yet.
Yeah, because most accountants look at the money that you're spending and tell
Yeah,
you knock it off, and you're looking at the money that they haven't made yet, and that's a whole different perspective.
yeah.
So
I
there you
count
go.
money too.
This is why you guys need Parthiv, and you need to get clarity on what you're doing. So as I said before, head over to his URL, getgrowthmasterplan.com. Take advantage of his generosity. And for anybody who needs a book published, SEO, social media, this is what I do. Visit me at anspachmedia.com. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Hey, adios.
All right. Thank you very much, man. Thanks for having me.